טיים, הפודקאסט של טולמנס, מדברים על עיצוב. מגיש איתי קץ.
Our biggest reason for being here is actually to help people to build homes. Not perfect houses, but homes, because we all know this feeling of walking into a really beautiful house. Everything can be really like all the right furnitures, all the right brands. Something could be missing. It can also very much likely be there, but then you can have a really beautiful and perfect house. But what makes a house a home? That's the people living in the house. It's the conversations going on there. It's the feeling and emotion that streams in between all the furniture and in between all the materialistic stuff that stands around. And that's home to me.
שלום לכם מאזינים ומאזינות, אני בינדרמן, ואתם על טיים, הפודקאסט של טולמנס, שבו אנחנו פוגשים אדריכלים, מעצבים ויוצרים, לשיחה מרתקת על עיצוב, אדריכלות, סגנון חיים ותרבות ישראלית. כמישהו שכבר התראיין בעבר בפודקאסט, יש לי היום את הכבוד להיות בצד השני, ולארח את טרין אנדרסן, שעומדת בראש חברת העיצוב הדנית המצליחה, FERM LIVING, ומכהנת גם כארט דיירקטורית שלה. טרין, hello.
Hello.
It's a great pleasure to have you here today. There's something so eternal and non-trendy about your brand, but yet organic and soothing. I call it sweatless design. Okay? Could you share with a compliment? Could you share with us a little bit about how FERM LIVING was born?
Yeah, I can. It's actually it's a story that now is almost 18 years back in time. I used to work as a graphic designer and an art director in the marketing business. And one day, Martin, my husband, or at that time my boyfriend, and we bought an old house. And I've always been fascinated about decorating, and as a kid I was, changing my room all the time. So it was a passion of mine, but not my educational background. But then when we moved into that house, it needed a total renovation, and I wanted to put some wallpaper up and couldn't get the exact look and feel I was hoping to find. I got grandma vibes almost everywhere I went in the wallpaper shops, and then the idea came because I knew how to do graphic or 2D design, and I've always been fascinated about decorating, so that's how the idea came.
Very personal.
Very
from
personal.
The personal
it
experience.
Just came
Very nice.
From a personal need, and then it went into a very difficult phase because no one would produce for somebody who had no money and had no name, and that was a very tricky
on one-off. Yes.
On a one-off. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So it started actually with me applying for a small design fair in Denmark, a local fair, and then I drew 10 wallpaper designs and convinced somebody to produce them. But it was a struggle in the beginning, and I can tell you, I was so super scared when I went to the factory and the machine was pumping out the first many hundreds rolls of wallpaper.
Wow.
And I was just, oh my, what have I done? It's I have to sell all this stuff, but that was how it started, and the fair went brilliant. We got so much attention from the press and from customers, so we got orders in the book to cover almost half of the starting up costs. So
wow,
that's how it started.
So from there to a question about the secret of Danish style, how did the young company become such a global success and in such a short time? And for you, if you see yourself as a Danish design ambassador?
Well, I'm very well aware that coming out of Denmark, we kind of stand on shoulders of what we call the golden age, the architects from the 50s and 60s, and I think that's a major gift.
Mid-century.
Yes, mid-century. And that's so recognized all over the world. So that's something that definitely is a great help for a company, a younger company like our own. So yeah, I feel definitely we are ambassadors and taking on that design heritage and design tradition that we have coming out of Denmark and especially Copenhagen. We are a small nation, only I think half the size of Israel, but we are a little bit of what you could call a design hub. A lot of colleagues around design are located in Copenhagen, and that goes as well for the food industry, where you have a lot of very famous international recognized restaurants, and it's a little bit the same with food and design. Then an area get really specialized and good and attracting people from all over the world within these industries, and then you just it's like spreading rings in the water, and you tend to get better and better and better and stronger. So I think we are of course we are to some extent fighting for the same customers. Like we are really privileged to have Salmon as one of our big customers, but I think when we are thinking more on an international scale, we are actually more like colleagues, going like shoulder by shoulder, representing Danish design. I think that's a strength as well.
When you design international, do you think also about local markets, specific markets, or do you change things between one market to another market?
No, we don't. We are quite strong in just designing for the core customer, and also not afraid to show that we are a Scandinavian or a Danish brand. When that's say, we can see that there are product types that are selling better in some markets than others. Christmas is very strong in Scandinavia, for example. Our cups are too big for Japan, but too small for the States. So there are these small differences, but I think it's more... But
you still make them the way you make them.
Yeah, we do, because that's also what makes us a Danish brand.
Mm-hmm. I think a little bit about the micro and the macro, the way you change scale between your products. You start from graphic design, and you kind of make your way into 3D, into what I call maybe 2.5D.
Yeah.
Okay, in your design.
Yes.
Which is somehow maybe your DNA. Am I wrong?
I've never thought of it like 2.5D, but you might be right, actually. I think you have maybe spotted something that we did not even spot ourselves. To this day, I still do not work 3D myself. I do a lot of hand sketching and then hand it over to one of the designers in the team. And I think you can still, even though we moved quite a lot away from where we were originated being in the graphic design, you can still feel the graphic nerves running in the silhouettes, and also I love simplicity. When as simple as it can be, talking silhouettes and constructions, I really, really fancy that. But that's probably also because I'm not a furniture architect or a furniture designer from my own background. But my eyes in seeing silhouettes and having like almost a finished piece of furniture or a finished piece of accessories in my head, and then trying to get that out. Sometimes we work with our hands, of course, also a lot on the computer, like you probably also do. But it's 2.5D is maybe not a wrong way of putting it.
Yeah, maybe that's kind of the DNA. What I see in your company, like the DNA of the company, because it's not 2D and it's not 3D. It's like something in between. When you see your product, it's something which is almost graphic 3D, I would say. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the process which you've started. For us designers, it's like the most important and intriguing thing we can think of, even sometimes more than the actual product at the end. Can you share with us a little bit about the work process from the moment an idea is brought to life and till it becomes an actual product on the market? I know it's a very big question, but just a glimpse, or maybe just a sample or an example of something that doesn't maybe necessarily end up as a product sometimes, which is...
I mean, what you're talking about here is, for me, the most interesting of it all. It's also the most challenging, because it's in everything we do within the company. I think this is the most, unforeseeable process. It can go very smooth and just totally as planned as we imagined in our heads before starting. But it can also be crazy troublesome. And I often experience actually that when we say, okay, this is just an easy one. This is an easy, maybe a line extension or something where I say, okay, this should be fairly easy. We have a lot of known factors already, maybe. But then, stuff happens that come always a curveball tend to come, and then you have to start from scratch and spend a lot more hours than you thought you would in the beginning. But I would say the process varies a lot from product to product. And we have, very complex products, but also very incomplex products. So in general, like everything from 6 months to 3 years could be a realistic time for a process from idea to ready to start the production. And I kind of see it like a big funnel. For each season or each collection we do, we always start with a big brainstorm process where like everything is open. Ideas are welcome from everywhere. You could pop an idea to me right now and I would take that into the bag and carry that to the next period of brainstorms. And so it's a mix of getting input both with the brain, what we are told from the sales team and what the numbers can tell us, but also like our emotions. Now, for example, since last we have war in Europe, that affects how we brainstorm next time. So all these mix of factual input, emotions, tendencies that we feel, how we live our own lives, how we want to live our own life, how we wish to live. All these are like antennas out in the air before we get to concrete product ideas. So sometimes we can spend half a day talking about life and death, how we all want to leave when we're leaving this planet. How could that happen? And that's just to say how fluffy and inconcrete a process can start.
You mentioned the war and things that are happening in Europe. What do you think, how does it affect design? What will be the next thing? Or where is design going for in the next 5 years? Where is it going on? Getting affected from all these global changes?
Yeah, I feel almost like we've been a little bit in a crisis situation or a special situation that we've never been for the past 3 years already. So we are a little bit alert, but we are also slightly getting used to it, very quickly to adapt to changes, and you do not really always know or even expect what tomorrow would bring. And in the market and in the world we are today, I still believe that tomorrow or next year, 23 can seem a little bit almost exhausting before we are starting it, because there's so much stuff going on with the war, with the global crisis. Corona, it's pretty much left Europe, but where we produce, it's still a struggle in some of the countries. So there are so many factors that affect not only us and our feelings and temper in terms of developing new product, but also the markets. So there are so many things that are a little bit scary at the moment. And what happens when we are in a situation like this? I think people tend to draw back a little bit. You cocoon yourself maybe a little bit more. You're more in your house. You're maybe more with your closest friends and your family, and the near is more important. We also feel that, colors being more calm.
Vital.
Yeah, and calmer colors like Mother Earth colors are soothing, and I think that's probably, I have a belief that when a crisis hit, you either turn into the brown Mother Earth tones, or you go gold to kind of balance
party mode.
Yeah, exactly. So of course I cannot tell you what will happen in the next 3 to 5 years and what designs will come out of this situation, but that's just things we have been considering and talking about.
Maybe in that subject, the Danes are one of the happiest folks in the world, considered, as long as I know. What makes Copenhagen such a positive place?
I think we are probably having the luxury of having what you could say a little bit of a spoiled country. We are a small country where everybody is quite safe and everybody has a place they can call home. They are not insecure on where to get their next meal from, and all that is kind of a fundament or a base of calm, or a base of, okay, I'm not here just to survive. So I think, and then for many years, and we still have the possibility to think a lot about how we can develop ourselves and how we can make life even better and sweeter. And of course, it is getting a little bit more challenging again with the prices rising and inflation and war going on in Europe and all this. But I still believe we are a very lucky little group of people living in the country we call Denmark. And I sometimes think of, Maslow, do you call it Maslow's pyramid of needs? Do you have that as well?
Pyramid of needs.
Pyramid of needs,
Yes.
where you need to be, having something to eat closest to where
Of
a place
course.
and then you build, and then in the top it's more about realizing yourself and working on being happy and spirits and all that. And I think we are used to, for many years, to have being the luxury of being very attendant to the upper part of the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's of course also because we have a very a public safety net protecting all of us, and that doesn't come for free. We have one of the highest countries with the highest tax rates in the world. But
yes,
I think most of us,
you get back quite a lot.
We get
from
a lot
the
back.
Government.
We do.
Yes.
Yeah.
In that notion of sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot to do with the Danish surrounding, what truly accepted responsibility, which most companies now in design are taking into their design, I think your brand is beyond that. In what I see, as at least, I see the essence of sustainability going very deep into the essence of the actual design. So when you see your product, when one sees your product, we see sustainability more than anything. I think also in the materials you use, but also in the way you create the objects and the way their silhouettes.
Yeah.
Okay, how does that affect your decision making in pushing products or the way you develop them?
Well, I think it's today it's like a cornerstone for us to work with this. You say now sustainability, and we have also used the word a lot, but we're actually now shifting and call it responsibility, because we have a major dilemma, or it's a major paradox, being a design company or producer wanting to bring products to this world, because no matter how responsible and trustworthy we try to behave, the true and brutal fact is that we do produce, and we do.
Once we create something, we probably ruin something else.
Exactly, and we do have put out CO2, and that's of course a big dilemma, and we have the saying, and I guess you've also heard that, do less, but buy less, but buy better. And the same, that's also a phrase that we've been talking a lot about. It's just, the true fact is that when we are doing new products, it is doing harm to the world. When we are producing them, even though it's on a recycled or responsible produced material, it still creates CO2 when we process them, and when we freight them, and when we send them to our customers. So, and we need to take some responsibility and really work hard on how we can do better. And for us, it's really a lot about doing better, because we can say for sure we're not perfect, and we're not going to be perfect tomorrow. But we work a lot with this topic, and the way we work with it is we have some concrete questions that we are asking ourselves for each product that we launch, and then we work. We have around 30% of the collection today, what we call responsible products, meaning they are either produced out of a certified material or recycled material, being either, for example, recycled aluminium or recycled glass, but it can also be GOTS certified organic cotton, or we have all these different type of materials that we work with across the collection. And the issue is that not all can be either certified or recycled at this stage. So around 30% is, and we also have to balance that it can cost extra, but there's also a limit for how much extra responsible product can cost. And we need to run a healthy business, also a profitable business, because then we can like work more positively in this agenda. And if we have a healthy business, we can also we can take market shares, and we can do our efforts to do better.
When producing, do you try making the product last longer?
Yes.
Oh,
we do. And actually, even though, for example, it can be a conventional produced product, but it's actually proven that if a product lives longer, that's the most sustainable of it all.
Exactly, that's why I'm asking.
But you're totally right. But I also think sometimes it can be a little bit of an easy one just to say, but yeah, we design for longevity. Of course we do. We are a design company. We are doing a great effort in designing our products and choosing qualities and materials that are long lasting. But we do not know yet, because for how many years will people love to have this in their homes? And I cannot sit here and guarantee that if this was a cup out of FERM that it would live for 30 years. I don't know.
Yes, that's true.
I can tell the material could live for 30 years if somebody still loves it.
Except sustainability and, of course, your family, what are you most proud of?
In terms of FERM Living? Or in general? Yeah, well, I mean, I'm super proud of FERM Living, especially maybe the team within the company. On this journey from just being me in the very beginning to today, where we are, I think we are 84 in the team now. It's the development of the organization have probably been the most challenging, most fun, most giving back experience that I never dreamt of I would have.
That's beautiful to have to go to work and feel that you're so proud in something that you do. That's
actually amazing.
In the end of the pyramid.
Yes.
As you mentioned.
And also, I mean, the team itself, like people that we have coming into the office every day, but then we also have the extended family, being people we work with, our agents, our customers, but also our suppliers and producers. They are extremely important, and a lot of our producers are also dependent on us. So, and that's sometimes almost a little bit frightening to have that thought. How many families you are actually supporting? Providing for.
What has been the best seller for the last 16 years of FERM Living, and why do you think it became one?
I think the most single successful product has probably been our plant box in black.
Plant box.
Yes. And I think it's a little bit what you also talked about before. It's like a 2.5D design. Mm-hmm. But it's also something where it's very simple. It's easy on the eye. It's appealing. You can definitely see our Scandinavian design roots there. And then it's also good quality, and it's very easy and easy to place. We called it a plant box. We probably should never have done that, because it can also be a minibar, bookcase, or whatever, be in the kids' room. Mm-hmm. So it's multifunctional. I think that's also something that made it so successful, because you might buy it for some function or one function, but then maybe you redecorate or move to another apartment, but then you can just shift it to another room.
That's nice. Mm-hmm. Is there any milestone you can remember that just changed the whole thing, the whole FERM Living idea? Like the minute or a moment or a specific week or month that everything changed? Yeah,
I have more than one, actually. We could take them chronologically. Back in 2016, when we got a private equity fund in as a partner. So that was the first time I got somebody in and took over a part of the company. That was a milestone. To take that decision was a major one for me. But it was also, when I took the time to think it through very carefully, it was very, very necessary and good that I did so, because at that stage I was really, really, what can you say, thinly spread out. I was both CEO, I was the creative director, and then a mother of two. We got our second child.
Like an impossible task.
I was definitely a bottleneck, and I was unsatisfied in everything I did, because I was never enough or never good enough in any of my roles. So taking that decision was extremely important, of course, as for me as a person and as a mother, but also for FERM Living's development. Because if I did not, and then I actually clapped myself a little bit on the shoulder. If I was not brave enough to take that decision back then, I don't think we would have been where we are today. Because that made it possible. And then milestone number 2 was a year later, when our current CEO, Peter, he joined the company. And since the minute he walked in the door, I kind of felt a physical weight taken off my shoulder. Because we are like night and day. He's super structured.
Complement each other.
Yeah, you could say that. We are so different, but we have so much respect for each other's areas. And he's and still is taking care of all operational, all sales, and a lot of the leaders are reporting directly to him, and that gave me a lot more space and freedom to work with the brand and with the products, and
go back to the process.
Exactly.
Yeah, give more time to the process.
Yes.
That's nice.
And then the third, I have to mention the third milestone.
Of course.
Back in 2 years ago, back in 2020, when we moved into our current headquarter or head office, you could call it, Kuglegården, and that's just a special moment for me, because I've always, for many years, I've visualized this building in like a shop in the ground floor, and then design studio and marketing and an operational floor. So and we got that in 2020. I felt okay. That's all I ever dreamed of. I could stop today. So that was really, really nice.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So talking back about the family, at 2008, when you gave birth to August, your oldest son, you launched the children's collection. Now that he's a teenage, are we intending to see a youth room collection, something more elderly?
Yeah, well, we got slightly more professional since then. It's not all based out of my personal needs, what we launched in the collection. So no, I don't think we could expect a specific teen collection. But what I experienced actually, both with August and Saga, that she's now 8 today, is that from 8 and above, you're actually not, you do not feel that you want to buy childish stuff anymore. And we can see, for example, a lot of young girls, when they are having their confirmation, they wish for pond mirrors and stuff like that. So you're always trying to be a bit more adult than you actually are when you're a teenager.
The adults want the children's things in their bedroom.
Exactly.
So everything is all mixed up.
Mm-hmm, it is.
Yeah. You mentioned the FERM Living showroom. You mentioned that. It's one of your milestones. Was it important for you that the showroom in Copenhagen also looks like an apartment or a house? Because it doesn't look like a showroom.
No, thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's super important. I mean, our biggest reason for being here is actually to help people to build homes. Not perfect houses, but homes. Because we all know this feeling of walking into a really beautiful house. Everything can be really like all the right furnitures, all the right brands. Something could be missing. It can also very much likely be there, but then you can have a really beautiful and perfect house. But what makes a house a home? That's the people living in the house. It's the conversations going on there. It's the feeling and emotion that streams in between all the furniture and in between all the materialistic stuff that stands around. And that's home to me. And a home is something very personal. It's almost like an art gallery where you go and you have your own house, or your own home is your personal gallery where you
fingerprints. Yes.
Where you curate every single piece that you let in, and then year by year it gets more and more you and more personal. And we all know these objects where we say, okay, this is truly ugly, but I love it for one reason. It could be something you got from your grandmother, or something your child made in daycare, or whatever, something that's special to you, but maybe not beautiful. But it can be. It truly can be. And I love the challenge of integrating something borderline ugly. I think that it's a little bit like art for me. You have this art that you just love instantly. It's so beautiful on the eye and easy on the eye, and you just fall in love and say, okay, this is pretty. But I also learned over the years that art that is a slightly more itchy and a little bit, there's something here that makes me a little bit, sit a little bit...
non-tight.
Yeah, non-tight on the chair. That's actually growing on me after years. So you get less bored and you keep challenging yourself. And
so do you actually try sometimes designing ugly things? Sometimes?
That's not a goal on its own.
No, I'm
but
joking, but
yes.
In that respect.
But I know we do. In some of our products are ugly in some people's opinion, and that's we work with this. We have this collection balance line that we work with, where we have calm and beautiful in one end, and then we have artsy and whimsical in the other end, and like the FERM Living design DNA sweet spot is just in the middle of that. So when we're talking calm and beautiful, it's something that is beautiful quality, beautiful constructed, easy on the eye, very classic, slightly maybe conservative in the expression, but something that make you feel calm and feel that you get something in a good quality. And then when we're talking artsy and whimsical, it's more challenging. It's not something that everybody just immediately like, or some would even say they definitely do not like it. And it's more something for a niche, or people want have a bit more
personalized.
Personalized and bolder taste in probably a lot of things.
Maybe that's one of the reasons of your bold colors sometimes that you use in some things, some of the objects that are extremely strong color.
Yes.
It's not for everybody, but the people who want that, they have that option.
Yeah, and you can tone it up and down. So I hope that was the explanation.
Yeah, I find out very, very smart. I actually do that sometimes in my experiences with clients, that we do everything right. And then at the end, I tell them, okay, now is the time to kind of unbalance stuff. Let's unbalance, because now is the time to kind of put something that doesn't belong.
Exactly.
Which makes it special, which makes it different, and which makes all the rest come out.
Yeah.
So I sympathize to that very much.
And can I just pick up on the word you mentioned, balance, because that's an extremely important word for us. Working with balance and also challenging the balance. So when we're, again, back to designing a collection, we always need a little bit of something that's a little bit out of comfort zone. So if you have this, imagine this circle where, okay, this is our sweet spot. This is our FERM Living design DNA, what we expect from ourselves and what the people looking in at FERM Living expect from us. But then for each collection, we need a little bit of products that are outside of that comfort circle, something that is challenging us. And
I'm thinking of that phase you have.
Yeah, that could be one of them.
That very strong blue, Man Ray blue.
Yes.
Yes.
That could definitely be one of them. So
whimsical. Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Very intriguing. There's a question here, but I don't know if it belongs to FERM Living, but I'll ask it anyway. What interior design trend do you see for the next year? Because I don't find FERM Living so trendy. It's quite eternal, I think, in a way, in the way you look at design. But again, there are certain trends that you kind of put in your collections.
Yeah, for sure. But I think you almost answered for me, because you're right. We are not. I actually a little bit do not like the word trends anymore. It's kind of my skin starts
vibrating.
Yeah, a little bit, because trends is for me something that is there for a short period and then gone again. Superficial, and I can still remember the need for changing the wardrobe depending on what colors were in season or what patterns were trending in a certain year, and I just think that there's so much wrong with that way of thinking about fashion and interior design and everything we do and choose.
And it's anti-nature, the whole thing we talked before.
Yeah. So if we could if we should be within the terminology of trends, then a trend could be not like tapping out of trends or devaluating the word trends, because I think we do and the world needs to think less in trends and more about a slow rolling movement. Of course, there'll be a development. Like we also launch new products, but those new products, they go well hand in hand with existing products. So it's more like I make a movement now with my hands that you of course cannot see through the microphone, but a slowly cycle moving forwards. And I think that's more right for me to think of it in that way, because there are of course things or materials that are coming, that are new or reinvented, that we are looking into. It would be a flaw to say that we are not working with trends at all, but I think overall the new big trend would be not to work with trends anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. One last question, because before we go to the very short questions, form function. Okay, it's like the big thing in design and architecture in the last, I think, more than 50 years. Would you say what is? Do you go by form follows function, or follow form, or the other way around?
That's also a balance for sure. But I'm just such an aesthetic, like what my eye tells my belly to feel, as it's just such a strong power that I personally would always choose a form over function. But having
surprising,
yes,
wow, you surprised me this one.
Yeah, but since we have a commercial company, we cannot we have to balance it. So of course, what we do have to live up to the expectations of function. But personally, I'm just much more fascinated than on form than on function. But yeah.
So now I have 3 very quick questions. Mm-hmm. You as a designer, in 3 words, how would you describe yourself? Tricky.
That's super tricky. So maybe to work within 3 words, then I would say calm, whimsical, to do the balance thing, and then I would also say commercial.
Wow.
Yeah.
On your next wish list as a designer, how do you see that? I
have this picture of a room, quite spacious, like generous, spacious room with the high ceiling and roof windows that I can just use as my atelier, where I can play around with stuff that doesn't necessarily have to have a commercial function.
Yes. Yeah. When are you most creative?
It's fun because some of my best ideas actually comes on holidays. Yeah. But I'm also when the ball is rolling in a meeting and we are like ping-ponging and things are going quite fast, and you see one idea in a product, but maybe combine it with another, that I also feel that creative process I also really, really love. And I think I'm good at that as well.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here. And we're always following your amazing Instagram and very successful one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
תודה לכם שהאזנתם. חפשו את שאר הפרקים של הפודקאסט T-Time של טולמנס באפליקציות הסקטים. אני בינדרמן, להתראות.
האזנתם ל-T-Time, כל מה שמרגש בעולם העיצוב.